Hello there. I'm Adi, and today we're going to be going over JavaScript Lesson 5. Give me a moment while I redirect you guys to the slides. Alrighty, Lesson 5, beginning JavaScript. So first of all, hopefully you guys are having a good day. Yeah, it's always important. Okay, schedule. You guys don't need to know this. Okay, so here are just some. Oh wow, they already gave the answer. Okay. Oh no, never mind. My bad. Here's just some review from lesson 4. So the first question is, how do you make an if statement? I'll give you guys a minute to think about it. Okay. So the way you make an if statement is by writing if and then putting in parentheses some sort of Boolean or condition that needs to be true in order for the code to run. And then inside the code, you want to have 2 curly brackets and, put some sort of code in there. All right. The second question. What is the value of the following Boolean statement? True and not false. Let's think about this. Okay, so the answer is true. And that's because, well, we already know what true is. And not false, well, what is not false? Well, that's going to be true. So it's true and true. So if true and true, that's going to always be true. All right. One sec. Okay, I don't know what this is. All right, 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, I have you guys know I kind of suck at Google Slides. Okay, so the overview for today, we're going to learn about the random function, the floor function, the mouse click function, and we're going to make a new game. So that sounds pretty exciting. Okay, so the random function. Say we write variable banana equals to random x comma y. So what will this do? Well, this will generate a random number, any number between x and y. So it doesn't just have to be an integer. An integer is whole numbers, so it's like 1, 2, 3. But in this case, it can be a decimal. It can be, if you guys haven't learned about decimals yet, it's like a number and then a point after that and numbers after that. So it's any sort of fractional or decimal value between those two numbers. So in the case of banana, we say var banana equals to x comma y. And in the other example where we say var I equals to 0 comma 6, it could give any integer from 0 to 6. So the possibilities are endless. All right, the floor function. So it seems kind of redundant to have the random function and have it generate a super long decimal, because what are we seriously going to use that for? It just doesn't look cool. It doesn't look nice. Okay, well, Google Slides. I don't know why it does this. Okay. Anyway, we're going to use the floor function to help us generate the next closest integer. So the random function creates a decimal like 0.23 or 0.788888888 and more. And we can use the floor function to round it down the decimal to the nearest integer. Keep in mind that it will always round the number down. So how do we generate integers? To only generate integers, use the floor function, and the floor function rounds down a number to the ones place. So in the case of 7.99999, even though we would round it up to 8 in math class, the floor function is going to round it down to 7. So you got to always remember. A good trick is to just remember the number in the ones place. So for 7.99999, you just look at the 7 and you round it to 7. Okay, so now for the mouse clicked function. So the mouse clicked function is another function that is called automatically when the mouse is clicked, hence the name mouse clicked. So let's test this out. Let's test this code out. Give me 1 minute. Actually, leads us to a link already. Come on. So for reference, this is the code. So they have a counter, And so they say var mouse click equals to function. And in that function, they print counter and then they increment counter. So, what could this be? Well, where I think it's gonna keep on incrementing the value. So as you can see, the counter value keeps on going up. And when I think of this code, I think of games like Cookie Clicker or something like that, where the cookie is the quantity of cookies are constantly updated based on the number of times you click. So it makes it really interactive, and it's definitely something that you can use in a game. And it doesn't just have to be a counter variable. It can be any amount of code that is triggered when you click the mouse. So you can also think about in Scratch when you use the block when mouse key is pressed or when you click on the sprite or something like that. That's kind of like that's the equivalent in JavaScript. So I think it's a super cool function that'll be very helpful to you in the future. Let's go back. All right, just to be clear, yes, we are on the dice game. All right, so now it leads us on to our next subject, which is going to be the dice game. So we're going to make a dice that rolls, or make a game that rolls a six-sided dice every time the user clicks on it. And the instructions are continue. Oh, oops. For steps for the dice game, we're going to make a variable called dice value. And you guys can do this as I'm saying these instructions. That way you can keep on going with me. Then you're going to make a draw function. And if the screen is clicked, we're going to make the dice value a random number between 1 and 6 using the floor function. After that, we're going to draw a cube shape of the die. You don't have to do a cube. In fact, I recommend just doing like a rect and use 6 if statements to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 dots on the dice, depending on what the dice value's value is. Okay. That seems interesting. So say if the random variable dice value is a 1, we should only see 1 dot on the dice. Whereas if it's 6, just see 6 dots. Something to think about. Okay, so here's the setup. This is basically what I was talking about. So as you can see in this example, we have a variable dice value that's declared. Then we have no stroke just because it's a style preference. We make our mouse clicked function, and inside the mouse clicked function, we have dice value equals to floor, so we make it a random integer between what should these numbers be? Should it be between that's a tough one. So that's for you guys to decide. What numbers do you think we should put in? All right, I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes. Oh, sorry, not a couple of minutes. You guys should spend a sizable amount of time on this, and we're going to come back to this, okay? But I hope, please pause the video. All right, thank you. So just a quick thing, the numbers that we should input in should be between 1 and 7 if you guys are struggling with that. And this is because the random is not inclusive, which means it doesn't include the values, especially if we use the floor value. Because if we have something like 5.999, it's going to round down to 5. So if we include 1 through 7, it includes every random value from 1 to 6.99999, which will round down to 6 because we use the floor function. So when putting in our numbers, and since we're using floor, we should input in 1 and 7. So that's a bit more info for you guys. I will let you guys keep on working. And yeah, all right. Okay. See. Okay. Hopefully you guys have paused the video long enough to make a sizable chunk in this. And now we're going to go over the answers. Okay. So as you can see, let's just click on it. So I clicked on the die and it changed from 2 to 1. Clicked on it, change from 1 to 2, 2 to 6, 1, 2. Let's get a 3 and a 4. Okay, 5, 4. Let's get a 3. I'm not stopping until we get a 3. Okay, we got a 3. All right. Anyway, so as you can see, this is how they did it. So it's the same code that we talked about where they make a dice value and they make it a floor random number between 1 and 7. So it generates a random number from 1, but not including 7, and rounds it down, resulting in a whole number from 1 to 6. Then we essentially redraw the dice, we draw the dice and then we redraw dots based on what the dice value is. So that seems a little bit complicated, but we already declared the dice base, the actual purple rectangle, that never changes. But based on what the dice value is, we will draw ellipses in different spots. So the dice value is a 1. We're only going to need one ellipse, which is going to be in the center of the die. If the dice value is 2, we're going to need 2. 3, we're going to need 3. 4, we're going to need 4, and etc. So and as you can see, we used a lot of if and else if statements. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with else if statements, but it's just kind of like a continuous thing. So if it's not 1, if it's 1, do this, else if it's 2, do this, else if it's 3, do this, else if it's 4, do this, and etc. So we're essentially just drawing the dots over and over and over. And that kind of gives the illusion of, a die. And it's not an illusion, it's a real thing. It's truly a random number generated between 1 and 6. So this is already a super cool concept. You can already make plenty of dice games. Yahtzee, what else? Well, that's kind of the dice game I have in my mind right now, but Monopoly, something like that. So yeah, hopefully you guys, let me go back to slideshow. Hopefully this helped a little bit, and here's the answer. Okay, yeah, so here's the answer. The numbers are 1 through 7. So now we're gonna ask you, or I would love for you guys to do some extra projects, like 2 dice in a single project. Let's see. Like you made 1 already. So if you click, on one die, they both roll. If you just click, they roll. So, that's also cool, making 2 die. This means you just have to click anywhere. So that's one possible option. A card randomizer. That's also card randomizer. I would not suggest, just based on the fact that you have to make 52 cards. So that seems a little bit excessive. But if you're up for a challenge, by all means, go for it. But it is a ton of work. And then the counter for the dice displays the number of times each number was rolled. So this kind of takes us back to our first exercise, where we did the mouse click demo, where here I can restart it for you guys. Like when counter 0, and then we start just clicking a bunch of times. But this time you have to make it a little smarter because you have to keep track of numbers. So you have to have like 6 different counters: number of 1s, number of 2s, number of 3s, number of 4s, etc. So yeah, besides that, let's get to our conclusion. In conclusion, you learned how to make random variables, and this will help you tremendously in making computer games. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's lesson, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.